Hello, in this video I'm gonna break down why so many pro cyclists are doing heat training, and I'm also gonna show you how I do it. So stay tuned. And before I start this video, I have to say that this video is based on my experience after doing heat training for more than 2 years now, and I'm not recommending anyone to do it because it's not very healthy. You have probably seen pictures of a cyclist riding indoor with lots of clothes on their turbo and wondered why are they doing it. And there's mainly two reasons for that. The first reason is because you can do it as a heat acclimatization before, for example, training or competing in warmer conditions. And the second reason is because you can increase your blood plasma by doing heat training. And for those of you that have been following my YouTube channel for a while now, knows that I have a heat chamber in my training room. And that's basically just a small room with heaters. So it's possible to heat up the room. And by heating up the room, you don't have to wear so much clothes. So I'm able to just ride in my bib shorts, and yeah, it makes everything a lot more efficient. And for me, efficiency is really important because a normal heat protocol lasts for 4 weeks. And to be able to do 4 weeks of heat training, you need to make it efficient, because for me, if you have to wear 5 layers of clothes and have to wash all the clothes after every session, it takes really a lot of time. So then I think it's better to heat up, for example, the bathroom and be able to only ride in your bib shorts. First of all, I don't want to make this video too complicated. So instead of showing you how I use my core sensor, I'm gonna show you how you do a heat session with only a normal thermometer. So the first thing you do is to turn on the heaters to warm up the room. Then you have to measure both your body temperature and also measuring your weight, because by doing that you can see how much your core temperature is rising, and also see how much liquid you lose during a heat session, so you know how much you have to drink afterwards. So then we are ready to start the session. And the main goal when you have a heat session is to get your core temperature as high as possible, as fast as possible, and also with a heart rate as high as possible, as fast as possible. And at the same time you want to push as low power as possible. So that's something you just have to try by yourself and yeah, play around and see what's working for you. In the first few minutes I like to ride a little bit steady, because then you really get your heart rate fast up, and I feel like when you do that the core temperature is easier getting high. And then when it starts to get hard, you decrease in power, and you keep on doing that the whole session. So in the end you probably do 150 watts with a pretty high heart rate. And you can see now, after only 7 minutes, I'm already sweating quite a lot. And when it comes to room temperature, I feel like around 37 is the sweet spot, because I feel if you're around 30 degrees it's a little bit too cold. And I also tried above 40 and that was too warm, so then I couldn't get my heart rate up because I couldn't push enough power. And when you can't push enough power, you will not get your core temperature up either, because power makes heat. So you also there have to try to find the sweet spot. And I feel the sweet spot is around 37 degrees. When it comes to drinking during a heat session, that's also what makes these kind of sessions pretty dangerous. Because if you don't drink anything, you will get very dehydrated, and that's not good. You need to get a little bit dehydrated to get the effect, but you won't get too dehydrated, because then the recovery time is getting very, very long. So also here you have to find the sweet spot. But for me, I usually drink between 1 and 2 bottles, so between 0.5 and 1 liter per session. A session like this only lasts for 50 minutes, and you're probably wondering how hard it should feel. And I will also say here that it depends. If you're going to do the standard protocol that lots of guys are using, with 5 sessions per week for 4 weeks, you will not be able to do the sessions very hard, because it's pretty demanding. But what I experienced last year was that by doing heat sessions 10 days before an important race or anything, with 7 to 8 sessions, quite hard, you will get a pretty good effect by doing it. But that also means that you have to go harder. It becomes a lot more dangerous and risky, so also here you have to find the sweet spot where you can go pretty hard, get your core temperature as high as possible without affecting your daily training. I'm now done with 30 minutes. I'm starting to get pretty warm. I'm doing below 200 watts and heart rate is above 150. And I'm using my heart rate and my feeling to adjust the load. So I decrease the power every time I start to feel that it's a little bit hard, and then I make sure that the heart rate is not dropping. And I do that during the whole session. And whenever I start to get pretty thirsty, I take a little sip of my bottle. I rather want to take many sips during a session compared to drinking a lot a few times. Because when you drink a lot a few times, you will help your body to cool it down. And that's not the goal with this session. I'm also trying to focus on high cadence on this kind of sessions, because I feel that those kind of sessions then is really good for flushing your legs, because you're not pushing so much power, so the mechanical load is pretty low. It's for sure a pretty big impact for your body when you do heat training, but since you're not pushing so much power, I feel the legs are getting pretty good the day after. When it comes to how you should implement heat training in your training schedule, I always have my heat sessions as session number 2 of the day. Because I feel if you have a heat session as the first session of the day, it will affect the training the rest of the day. So the way I do it is that I do my normal training, and then I just do the last hour of the session inside with heat instead of riding outside. And the way I adjust the intensity of the heat sessions is by thinking about what's coming tomorrow. If I have a hard session tomorrow, then I will take it pretty easy. But if I have an easy day or a rest day, for example, I can go a little bit harder. I have now 3 minutes left. I have below 200 in average power, and I have 150 in average heart rate. And I have a travel day tomorrow, so I wanted to go a little bit more controlled today. So we will see how high I reached in body temperature. 39.1, so pretty high, but not crazy high. I had 37.1 before I started the session, so that's an increase of 2.0. This was a pretty average heat session. Sometimes I go a little bit below 39, sometimes almost up to 40, but then it's getting pretty dangerous and risky, so you have to be really careful. My weight was now 69.3 and I was 70.8 before the session. And I was drinking 0.7 liters, which means that I had a sweat loss of 2.2 liters. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but yeah, 2.2 liters is really a lot. So now it's important to drink enough. A rule is that you should drink 150% of your sweat loss after the session. So yeah, that's also quite a lot. And once again, this is just how I do the HIIT sessions, and people are doing lots of different stuff. So this is just what I do. But I hope it was an interesting video. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. GG.